Star Wars Visions dropped about a year ago in September 2021, so I thought now would be a great time to revisit the series. I really enjoyed these shorts and what they brought to Star Wars. I liked that each one had its own studio's flair and style attached to it, and we got plenty of different stories out of the project. Some were heavy on the Japanese Kurosawa influence that is connected to Star Wars. Others were stylistically very anime with Star Wars flair, and others were just straight up a fitting Star Wars story. Some were definitely better than others, so I wanted to rank them in my own personal order. Of course, each person who watches this anthology series is going to have a different takeaway from each episode. So please remember, this is my personal list, not an attempt at making a definitive tier ranking. 9th, The Twins. Last place for me is The Twins. I have to say this is far and away my least favorite episode. The Gemini Star Destroyer was an interesting design, and I definitely didn't hate it, although saying that a twin Star Destroyer could have the same destructive power of a Death Star seemed a bit off for me. The art style wasn't really doing it for me. The English voice acting in this one was pretty corny, which is a surprise to me seeing as it had two of the bigger stars of the whole series. The dialogue felt very clunky and expositionary. I had a lot of questions about things like, how did the main character come in possession of an X-Wing? And the whole story got really odd when the two characters were fighting in space. I guess you could say they're breathing through a force technique, but it just seemed pretty off. Extra crazy points for when he rides on top of the X-Wing and slices the Star Destroyer in half, somehow not slicing his sister in half before jumping to hyperspace while still standing on the hood of his X-Wing. Yeah, that was a mouthful. 8th, Tatooine Rhapsody. I don't actually have a lot to say about this one. It was pretty inoffensive, but not that interesting. It was slightly charming, and it was cool to see Boba Fett here, but the story itself didn't give us too much to care about. 7th, Lop and Ocho. This one had the makings of a much better short than I feel it ended up being. I loved the setting of a planet based in old culture getting exploited by the Empire, and the common Star Wars theme of family. The lightsaber being inherited by this family and being passed down generations was a really cool idea that merged old Japanese culture with Star Wars, and that was a really cool concept. Bonus points for a cool lightsaber hilt. Where Lop and Ocho falls off for me is in the story it's trying to tell within the short. I think it tries to tell a much larger story than what we see in the short, and it makes it all feel rushed and without an ending. Shorts can be good when they're just a slice of a larger story, if it's executed well in the writing, and this just didn't hit for me. I don't understand how the happy-go-lucky kid in the first few scenes could fall so hard to the dark side. This might have been a fun aspect of the story to explore more, but it's sort of just shrugged off as sort of teenage angst. She's arguing with her father. Her ideals are about her planet's future, whereas he wants to preserve their past. I understand the argument, and it's a good inciting incident between the two characters, but with everything else, this feels rushed in the short.
I'm sorry, Papa. This isn't how I wanted this to happen.
The ending isn't an ending, and it's unfortunate it didn't leave me wanting to watch more from it to get a proper ending in the future. 6th, TOB1. Interestingly enough, this one was much lower on my list upon first viewing. While I love the focus on white and blue colors, I wasn't a big fan of the clunky art style used, mostly on the Sith character. The idea of a droid being able to wield the Force doesn't make much sense to me, as the Force itself is all living things. But on second viewing, I noted that there is a lot of mystery surrounding TOB1's origin, and I sort of headcanoned that the professor saved a dying youngling by making them into this droid, or cyborg in this case.
My young Padawan.
TOB1 has dreams of being a Jedi, and seems to have a strong sense for both lightsabers and Force techniques, and these could all be him remembering his time as a living Jedi apprentice. He is also the only droid the professor has built that is capable of speech. I like that this short went in trying to pay homage to Astro Boy. It's an admirable artistic direction for a project like this, and it ended up giving me some Mega Man vibes as well. It's nice when the creativity of a team is on display like this, even if the art style isn't my cup of tea. 5th, Akakiri. I loved certain aspects of this one, but disliked a decent amount too. To be honest, I think Lop and Ocho, TOB1, and this one are all relatively the same level for different strengths and weaknesses. The settings in this short are beautiful, and the music is fantastic. I also really enjoyed the two buffoon characters, and the fights were pretty well animated. The biggest shortcoming of this one is actually quite similar to Lop and Ocho, in that I think the story being told feels rushed in this format. It didn't do the best job of making me care about the two lead characters, and in the end when he falls to the dark side to save her, it didn't feel earned. Like, it just felt like he didn't actually fall, but rather was just resigned to his fate. Fourth, The Duel. This one is awesome, and the start of the list of ones that I really enjoyed thoroughly. The Duel really leans into the classic Japanese Kurosawa style, and it does so very well. The character designs are all unique, but fit nicely into Star Wars. The art style was really impressive. The story of a lone wanderer entering a town and warding off an attack for them was a good, concise story that was easily told in this short format. A lot of fun, and left me wondering who the wanderer was, but in an interesting, mysterious way. Third, The Elder. The Elder is plagued by some dry dialogue.
That's my master. Always the only Jedi who knows it all when it comes to the Outer Rim. I'm so lucky to be your Padawan.
Thank you.
I was being sarcastic.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
But the eeriness and mystery makes it one of the best episodes of Visions. The Elder was very creepy, and there's a looming sense of danger through the whole episode. The Jedi and his apprentice were likable, even if they were a little bit stale, and the art in this one was enjoyable. Second, The Ninth Jedi. The Ninth Jedi managed to tell a compelling story with a beginning, middle, and end, while still leaving me wanting much more. This one felt like a pilot to a show. The time setting seems like its own era of Star Wars, which allows for its own take on things without stepping on anything that's canon. In fact, this could easily be made canon with a few little explanations about the lightsaber colors. The animation style was really nice, and there was plenty of interesting and quirky characters. I loved the old droid drinking his oil tea. This episode also pulled off its twist unlike any other in the season. I genuinely felt a gasp come over me when the lightsabers all lit up red. And the ensuing fight was fantastic, and some of the best dueling in this whole series as well. This did a great job of introducing multiple compelling characters and ended on a note where I was satisfied but longing for more stories in this world. First, The Village Bride. Village Bride was a fantastic short. It is beautiful to look at, and the score is well done. On top of that, the characters all feel like real people with backstories, but there's enough mystery to keep you compelled. It feels like the perfect blend of Japanese style and technique with Star Wars, which I think is what this project is all about. The story of the short gives a clear beginning, middle, and end. I've seen each of the episodes at least twice, but this one I've watched more like 5 or 6 times. Without credits, the episode is 16 minutes and 45 seconds, but to me it does not feel that long, which in my experience is a telling sign of a great short film story. I love the little things. A common thing I love in Star Wars is how the Force connects everything, and this small community has their own name for it, the planet itself, Majina. Seeing how normal people interpret the Force is such a cool thing. It gives you more of a look into what living in the Star Wars universe would be like. I really like the antagonists in this. I thought having some raiders with repurposed battle droids was really cool. The standoff was epic, and I love seeing yellow-bladed sabers. The Jedi character herself is a great protagonist character. We get to see her actually struggle internally. After past trauma, she is questioning her role in the galaxy, and watching her figure it out with some light nudging from her friend is a super satisfying arc. This is another story that can easily be made canon, which is a huge plus for me. Conclusion. All in all, I really liked Star Wars Visions, and I hope we get more projects like this in the future. Seeing other styles and cultures take on the Star Wars franchise is super fun, and can lead to some great content. For that reason, I'm super excited for Season 2 of this anthology. It's set for spring 2023, and it has already been announced that creators from all around the world have been invited to create shorts for this season. I would love to hear what your favorite episode of Season 1 was. Comment below, and if you think I should give any of the episodes another look from a different point of view, I'd love to hear your take on headcanons. May the Force be with you.